Pacers back in the playoffs, taking on the Toronto Raptors, Canada's team. From the North Shore of Lake Ontario, Canada's largest city, and a great view outside as we will bring you inside the NBA playoffs beginning in a big way today here from Toronto. Here's a look at the brackets in the Eastern Conference. A little bit later today, you'll see Atlanta taking on Boston on ESPN. Tomorrow, Cleveland taking on Detroit on ABC. Hello, everybody. I'm Mark Jones, courtside along with Doris Burke. Israel Gutierrez joining us in just a bit. Big times here in the Sixes. Brought to you by Modelo Especial. In the backcourt for the Pacers, George Hill and Monte Ellis, who's getting the ball a lot more of late. Paul George, Lavoy Allen, and Jan Mahinmi up front for the Pacers. In the backcourt for Toronto, Lowry, DeRozan, the All-Stars. Al, a rookie, keep an eye on him. That's an important variable. Scola and Valanciunas.
Of his future, Mark.
The Raptors call timeout after the Miles Turner misses. He's a rookie. He'll learn playoffs are a little different. We the North, the battle cry from Jurassic Park outside Air Canada Center. As we get more on the Raptors from Israel Gutierrez. Thanks, Mark, and everyone to Toronto, Ontario, Canada. The Raptors, the home crew, up by 5. Game 1 between the Raptors and the Pacers. And the guy they call the Six God at courtside, Drake. The hotline hasn't gone bling yet, but it sounds like it's about to as we check out today's winning ingredients brought to you by McDonald's. We focus on the backcourt and a couple of good friends of Drake. Launches. George missed the putback. How important is game 1? Well, the winner goes on to win the series 77% of the time. Paul George straightening things out with his teammates. As you would imagine, an emotional game for both these teams. Important to get that first W. Back to Toronto after this. Absolutely irradiant, luminous, cool day here in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. 24-19, the home crew leading by 5 as we get started here in the second quarter. Had a chance to speak with Frank Vogel, the head coach of the Pacers. Israel Gutierrez did a few moments ago, and Doris, interesting observations.
Yeah, but some
Towns actually lost the handle and turns it over. Time out on the floor. The Raptors lead by 3 when we come back. Pacers.
ESPN's presentation of the NBA playoffs is brought to you by Burger King. Get 5 delicious items for $4 only at Burger King.
Look at our Corona extra performers, and the Raptors, in lieu of getting points from Lowry and DeRozan, getting big help from these guys.
Well, Valanciunas was a monster on the glass. They went to him a couple times in the post. I think the bench, Mark, the Toronto bench has got 18 points. Their starters have got 18 points.
Percent from the Sunday, our NBA playoff coverage continuing as Andre Drummond and the Pistons facing off against King James and the Cavaliers in game 1 of the series at 3 Eastern time on ABC. Coverage begins with NBA Countdown presented by Straight Talk Wireless at 2:30 and is streaming live on Watch ESPN and the ESPN app. And coming up on the show at halftime, Sage Steele and the crew in the studio defending Lowry and DeRozan. How that's working out so far. And the Warriors' title defense begins at 3 o'clock Eastern.
Can you imagine how happy?
I'm out called by Dwayne Casey. We'll take 1, 2, folks. Stick around. We'll be right back. Train rolling on today. 3 more games. 3:30 on ABC. Rockets take Canada. Look at the Canadian National Exhibition Fairgrounds nearby where the Raptors have their practice facility. The Raptors home team leading by 2, trying to rewrite their history in terms of the postseason, make it a little bit more favorable as we take a look at today's first half stats brought to you by Kia. And the numbers that jump off the page, the bench points, a big factor for the Raptors in the first half. They also out-rebounded the Pacers by a margin of 33-20. Mark Jones courtside along with Doris Burke. Israel Gutierrez joining us in just a bit. We talked about it. Timeout Pacers!
That's what you're talking about. Exactly that. Just growth, right? Faith for Lowry. Understanding Valanciunas. Let me go set the screen on the left-hand side of the floor. Because if I set it left, I roll left. And that's my strength. That side of the floor.
Well, it's time to check out today's home court advantage, brought to you by Lowe's. And man, get in front of your TV and spend the day, folks. Look at this. Got this one here in Toronto, then over on ABC at 3 o'clock, it's Golden State, who's had a great advantage against Houston and everybody else. And the Dallas Mavericks, that's our nightcap. They finished the season on a nice roll.
Well, not surprisingly, Rick Carlisle is one of the outstanding coaches in this league. And Dirk Nowitzki, how about that guy at this age, just continuing to be that prolific on the offensive end? And you talked about the free agency of DeMar DeRozan. How about Oklahoma City? Kevin Durant enters as an unrestricted free agent come July. 4 scoring titles, 1 NBA Finals appearance with Oklahoma City back in 2012. I tell you, he and Russell at such a high level.
In the third quarter of play, Raptors looking to take game 1.
ESPN's presentation of the NBA playoffs. Brought to you by the new hardest working collection from Old Spice. Legendary protection for legendary men.
Let's go! DeMar DeRozan rested in 2 of the last 4 regular season games.
Paul George is flat taking over this basketball game. Raptors have no answer. Gets out in the passing lane, strips it. He knows they're going to DeRozan. Paul George, yes sir, welcome back.
Few of the quarters of play.
DeMar DeRozan is capable of making contested shots. Paul George trying to make him take contested 2s and keep him off the free throw line. So he's there on the catch, keeps him pinned on the baseline, but how about that? A little separation. That is a big time shot. All balance delivers.
Welcome back to Toronto. Dwayne, Paul George got...
It had been a quiet afternoon for Terrence Ross. One of those guys they identify as being more consistent, but staying space. The feed from Lowry gets him locked up at 74.
ESPN's presentation of the NBA playoffs. Brought to you by The Huntsman, Winter's War. Discover the story before Snow White. In theaters Friday. And Toyota. Let's go places.
Coming up on ABC at 3:30 Eastern time, Steph Curry, who made over 400 3-pointers this year, an NBA record. That is unbelievable. And he made it at about a 46% clip. And look at some of the rest of the games tonight. Celtics, Hawks, Mavericks, Thunder, both on ESPN. As OKC, Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant going to work against the Mavs.
Very quietly, the Hawks have been one of the outstanding defensive teams down the stretch of this season. I think 2 really well-coached teams in that basketball game. And Mark the Whip.
Folks, 3 of 8 from the line. And tonight after the NBA playoffs, don't miss Sports Center at night with Max and the coach. They'll have highlights, analysis from the playoff games, as well as highlights from baseball and the NHL. Sports Center at night tonight after the NBA playoffs on ESPN. Also streaming live on Watch ESPN and the ESPN app. Well, George telling us 8-point Pacer lead. The Pacers picking away at that scab of the Raptors that is still very fresh. Back after this.
Paul George, there is no answer right now for Toronto where he is concerned. Off the screen from Turner was an outstanding screen. How about create your own? A little separation from DeMar DeRozan. Again, another screen. And what do you think about being an elite player? Here's what he thinks.
Every day you got to prepare.
To go, the Pacers leading by 10. But the big question all year has been, can the Pacers close it out? They struggled doing that this season. Back after this. Introspective, concerned look across the face of Kyle Lowry. The frustration visible for the Raptors, 1 through 12. Which includes the coaching staff as well. And here's why you see those concerned looks. Their history not that good when it comes to what they've done in the first round. 2 years ago against the Nets, talked about it a moment ago. They dropped game 1, and then against the Wizards last year, the same.
There was a common denominator in the Nets in Washington, and that was Paul Pierce.
Paul George, whatever footwear he was wearing today, it was the right one, because he ended up with 33 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists. And the Raptors forced to go back to the drawing board and come back Monday for game 2. 100-90, the final here. The Pacers take it. The next NBA playoff game, Houston Golden State, 3:30 on ABC. Coming up next on ESPN, the Alabama Spring Game. For Doris Burke, I'm Mark Jones. So long from Toronto, Canada.